Hello students, and welcome to our today's class, Communication and Advertising. My name is Omadhu Jane, and I'll be taking us through this very interesting course. Hope you will enjoy. So the first thing we do is to look at the objectives, and the first thing is to understand communication and its process. Then we need to understand the advertising as a form of communication, and understand the theories of advertising and also theories of media. So we define some terms as part of our introduction, and this advertising. And as you can see from what I have here for you, we have different scholars who are discussing advertising. Wells and Burnett, 2003, they define advertising as an unpaid for personal communication from an identified sponsor using mass media. So as you can see, he's arguing that communication, advertising is form of communication, and then it is non-personal and it's paid for. And in case there's that sponsor, then you have to identify that, and then you use different media platforms. Then there's Arens, and he also defines advertising as a structured, composed, and non-personal communication, usually paid for. Again, you can see non-personal and paid for, and there are products that has to be advertised, whether it's goods or services or even ideas. And the sponsors, again, they're identified. Then we have Dominic. Dominic comes in 2009 and again defines advertising as any form of an non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, services, and it's paid for by an identified sponsor. So in short, we can be able to summarize and say that advertising is a form of communication, and this communication is paid for, and then it's non-personal, meaning that we are anonymous. The advertiser does not even know us, and then there's an identified sponsor. That is the person who is paying the money, because remember, advertising is not done for free, and that is why we are saying it's paid for. So in case you're not the person who is paid for your advertisement, then you need to identify the person who is going to foot your bills. For instance, Mount Kenya University could think of sponsoring a certain advertisement, could be certain products. So every time they give this money, you have to identify and say, sponsored by Mount Kenya University. Then we have the next term, which is communication. And according to Brand 2010, communication is transmission of messages from a source to a receiver. So a source is the sender, the person who comes up with the message. This person is going to encode the information and then send this information via a platform, and then it goes to the sender. So then number two, the Cherry, 1982, who argues that communication is the process of sharing ideas, thoughts, feelings with each other. So you can see it is something that is dynamic. I'm going to come up with something and I share with you, and then we agree, and then we discuss about it, and then I pass it through a certain platform. And in this case, my dear students, I want you to realize the platform may be either a media platform, or even between you and I, this air, which is now the medium. Then we have Laswell, 1948, who comes up with now what we discuss when we are doing media studies. And he argues that communication is a straight line, and it's about who answers some certain questions, as we will see. And he considers communication, as we have said, as a linear process, which means that it's a straight process from information from the sender all the way to the medium, and then directly to the receiver. And then after that, there's impact. And then he argues that the sender is usually active while the receiver is passive. And that is why we are saying it's a linear process. Thus, the message sent to the receiver acts on him. There's impact. If the advertiser, for instance, wanted you to go and purchase a certain product, then the next thing you're going to do is just to automatically purchase the product, and you're not going to question anything. If the information was supposed to warn you against, could be an imitation of a certain service or product, for instance, you're just going to get that information, and you're not a rational person, so you can't think about it. The only thing you will do is take the warning as it is, and then you stop using that product, or could be you look for the right product. And then Laswell describes communication as a process or an activity that answers the questions now I've said we'll highlight. And it is who says what, through what channel, to who, and with what effect. So I'll explain all of them. And who is the sender? The person who comes up with the message, the person who encodes any message, and she is responsible for encoding the message and then sending to the right person. The receiver says what? What is the message? The content. So in our case here, the content is the advertisement. So the who is the advertiser, and the message, what is the content, the advertisement itself, and then through what channel or the medium, which it is the way, the platform whereby we are going to pass this information. So this must be effective, the channel must be effective based on the type of content and the target audience you have in mind. Why? We'll be seeing why we do this. Because different audience will consume different content and different channels. For instance, if I may, what the youth will consume is much of internet and not mainstream media. So if your product as an advertiser, you're aiming, your target audience is the youth, then you must be able to use internet because that is where they thrive. If your product is for the aged, the women could be old people, then again you have to use mainstream media, could be television, radio, could be print for those if they know how to read and write. But if they don't, then you have to use the right medium that is going to reach them, because as we will see, advertising has one key thing, one key role, to make sure that they maximize profit. It's about the sales we are going to make. It's not about making something expensive. It's about how many items can we be able to sell. If initially we were selling 10 before advertising, then after advertisement, then you're supposed to sell more than that. And then to whom is the receiver? The person to whom the message is intended to reach to. And this is the consumer. Now in advertisement, we are the consumers. For instance, if you can use a certain lotion, and our target audience is women, and these women are between, could be 30 to 60. So we know the kind of platform we've chosen, it should be one that favors the target audience, and these are the people who are going to consume the product. At the end of the day, they are the target people we need. So we have to make sure that you utilize the best medium and it gets to the right people. And as we will see as we discuss, we continue, the receiver, who is the target audience, the consumer, is categorized according to their demographics, their psychographics. In terms of demographics, the age, the status, marital status, in terms of education level, in terms of their the way of life, are they rich, are they poor? Because there are some products that will be consumed by the rich people and others will be consumed by the poor people. So whatever products you have, even as you select the audience, as you select the medium, then you must bear these people, put them into consideration. In terms of psychographics, in terms of their attitudes, their beliefs, for instance, their behavior. Because, for instance, there are some things that we will use as will advertise as advertisers, and they develop what we say the dissonance, the disagreement within the minds of the target audience. So if this disagreement within the minds of the people, then it means that they are not going to purchase your product. And then the final element, according to Laswell, is what effect. What effect is now the impact, okay? The impact can be either positive, it can be either negative. And he argues that every form of communication, any way we communicate, it is going to affect, to have either positive or negative effect on people. As you can see, according to Laswell, he didn't mention other elements like noise, and he didn't mention other elements like feedback. Feedback, which is what we use to range, to see, to realize whether our advertisement has really made it. So that is now what we call linear communication. Then someone else comes in who is called Beryl with his new model now, the Smcr model of communication. And it gives a summary of the events that take place when people share ideas, like the way we'll come to class, my dear students, and we share our ideas. And in terms of oral communication when you're discussing, because remember, advertisement, as we will see, it not only sells this product, it not only warns and informs and educates, persuades, but also it is going to help us and as salespeople, it creates a platform whereby we thrive, because the moment your product is advertised, as a salesman, when you go to sell to people, then it means that they will be able to relate. They can be able to tell that this product has been there, this product has been on sale, this product, I've heard of it, and so it means that because it is a good product, then I can purchase that product. So he comes up with the 4 elements. One is the source, just like what we've seen in Laswell. The source is the sender, the person who comes up with the message, the idea, the advertisement. This could be an organization, it could be an individual, it could be government, they're also very good advertisers. And then they'll come up with the message, they package the content that suits their target audience. For instance, Mount Kenya University will sit down, the management will sit down, they craft their messages, and their key thing, they want to inform people that there is an intake that is ongoing. So they will sit down and craft these messages, and these messages must be able to suit their target audience. It must be in a language that the target audience understands. And then this message, which is the content, that is what I've kept on saying even when we're looking at the linear. The content is the information, and in this case, because we are doing communication and advertising, our content is the advertisement itself. And then there is the channel, which is the medium, whether it's the radio, it's TV, it's newspaper, and then the receiver, who is the target audience, who decodes to interpret that message, to assign meaning to everything that we see, because any information that we get, any information, whether it's oral, whether it's written, whether it is through the electronic media, we have to assign meaning to whatever we see, the symbols we see, the words, the nonverbal communication that is done. We assign meaning. So that is what the receiver will do. Then he looks at different various factors, that is Barrows in his SMCR model. He looks at various factors under each element, and he argues that as a source, the sender of the message, there are some things that you're entitled to have. You must, it is a must have. And one, you must have good communication skills. Communication skills, as we know, we have the reading skills, the speaking skills, listening, because if you don't read, then how else do you know the response? Because most of the times they'll give you some brochures and they tell you you can write your comment there. So if you don't know how to read as an advertiser, then how are you going to read the feedback from the target audience? Speaking skills, you must be able to come up with a message, package it, and then you're able to present that information. And then listening, because people will give their views according to how the experience they have with your product. So you must be able to listen to them so that you can see if there's any gap, and then you fill in the gap. And then the attitude towards the message, and these I've said we refer to ABX model or the News Corp model, which is about the attitude we have towards something. For instance, in this case, because in advertising, I could be advertising something like condoms. And these condoms, there are some churches that will, denominations that will not love the advertisement, because they say according to God, according to creation, then we should fill the earth. So if I have a negative attitude as a consumer towards the product, then it is, which is now the message, the advertisement, then it means that I'm not going to consume that advertisement. And every time it runs, what I will do is just could be switch off, because remember, human beings or the audience are also active, because we have the selectives. We select what to consume, we select what to retain, we even select what to pay attention to, as we will see as we proceed. So the right attitude towards, from either the sender to the receiver, and in this case the sender, remember, is the advertiser, and the receiver is the target audience, the consumer of the product. So we need to have this attitude, the positive attitude, because if we have negative, then it means we are not going to consume the product. Then the knowledge, and that is where now research comes in It's very important because we need to have insight, understand the specialization. What are you communicating as an advertiser? What are you telling people? Because there's no, you'll tell people that your product is going to solve, like for instance, is going to clear your face from acne. And then when people question you, people ask you, because you will go and do research outside there, you're not so sure. So you should be knowledgeable about your product. What does it contain? The ingredients. What is the price, you know? Where is the placement according to the mixing mix? And then we need to have everything at the one shelf, because these people will ask you so many questions. When consumers see your product, they'll keep asking you because there's always a gap. And so you should be able to tell them and fill the gaps they could be having. Then the other thing you need to put in mind is about the social system, e.g. religion, the culture, beliefs, values, the social structures within the society. Remember, we come from the society. Even as we drive, even as we purchase products, there are some products our society, our religion could be, for instance, will not accept. For instance, the way I've given an example with condoms, is that a religion that will not accept the use of contraceptives. So we also need to know our target audience and understand them, know about the society, because the social constructions within the society will determine how well your product sells or it doesn't sell. Then the culture, which comes again, like I've said, under the society. And then culture is a people's way of life, which is dynamic. It's not static, so it keeps on changing. Would be yesterday, people were not using a certain product because according to their faith, according to their beliefs, values, you know, their touch, the meaning was different. But tomorrow they could be consuming the same. Then according to the model, people only communicate effectively when the things that they require are met. So as an advertiser, the one thing at the back of your mind, what you need to realize is that any form of communication that you are doing, it should be able to meet the people's needs. Because if it doesn't meet their needs, then it means they're not going to purchase your product. The second element, the message, it is the information like what I've highlighted, which starts from beginning to the end. And this, when we look at it, it starts from somewhere and ends somewhere. We can critique that according to several other people like Osgood, who says that communication has no end and it has no beginning. So it is a continuous process. But this message will start from somewhere. An advertisement will start from, could be A, when you're crafting the message, until to, if it's what to be demonstrated, and then it ends there, and then you leave people to make their decision. So in this, a message will contain the elements that is either verbal or non-verbal communication. When you talk of verbal, it's when it's spoken. Non-verbal, it's the body, for instance, body language, when could be a handshake, could be the facial expressions, all that. Then the next thing that is contained in the message is the treatment. And treatment is the packaging of the message. How do you package this message? Because remember, as much as we consume advertisements, what really determines whether our advertisement is memorable, it is the way we package, the way we present it. If, for instance, I'm advertising certain oil, the way I present it, the way I make you see it and remember will depend how many people will purchase the products. So then the other thing is the structure, which is the organization. How do you organize? How do you arrange your advertisement, your message? Is it going to, like for instance, the way we say, when I wake up in the morning, I wash my face, I brush, nini, and then I rush to school. Are you going to rush to school first and then later you come and take a bath? Of course not. So there's this order, and you do it according to the order of importance. Because most people will not consume even these advertisements up to the end. So you have to make sure that whatever content that you're displaying, where you start, is something that is going to attract people's attention, and they will be able to be glued there. Let's just be there. They don't want to follow until the end. And then there's the code, which is the means through which we send messages, whether it is verbal or non-verbal. So you have to make sure that the way you've chosen that to send your message, it is a way by which it is very easy, very simple. We don't like complicated things. Anything that is going to make me think so hard, I'll tend to do away with it. So even as you package your ideas, your thoughts, your advertisement, make sure that you keep it simple, you make it clear, and then you make it attractive. Then channel is the next one, and this one basically looks at the 5 senses. Just like the way we hear, if it's an advertisement is on radio, what we will do is to hear that advertisement. And that is why we say when you're writing for radio as an advertiser, and even as a communicator, what you need to do is to use a friendly language, conversational tone. Make sure that it's active. Use descriptive words, you know. Make it so dramatic such that every other person, when they hear, because remember, when it is a radio, we can't see. So what is going to attract me as a consumer, as your target audience? It's the way you package your message. So we use the hearing side sense, and then the seeing in terms of television, and especially if we are going to need demonstration. Because remember, as we said, as a sender, you must put, 1, your target audience in mind, and 2, you must consider the channel that you're going to utilize, because it must be in line with your advertisement. Then touching, smelling, tasting, we all do this. There are some advertisements, there are some things you need to feel. For instance, if you wanted to buy a certain fabric because you saw someone having it and someone is selling it, the first thing we do is just to touch, feel the quality of the material, smelling in terms of oil, perfumes, and then tasting. Even like there are times they will do the sales promotions, and they have certain products that they're selling. They're pushing, they're the push girls. They're selling these products. So what do? We go and taste, and then later they'll direct us and tell us, you can go to a certain shelf, and this product is still being advertised on media. So it is very important for you to utilize the 5 senses. And then the receiver, as I said when I was explaining the sender, you should always have the receiver in mind when you're constructing any message, because at the end of the day, the receiver is the consumer of your product. And this receiver decodes the message, and once they decode, they should have the same element as the sender. You remember when we talked of communication skills, the attitude, all that should be having, the receiver should be having that, so that they can be able to decode, interpret the message, and then it will have effect on them. Then Ahrens, they also argued that the model can be applied to advertising, whereby the source is the sponsor or the sender, the message is the advertisement, and the channel is the media, the receiver is the consumer, the target audience, the person you want to purchase your product. So from there, we look at the stages of buying briefly, because we'll be dealing with them later as we proceed. And there's one, the cognitive stage. And why we are looking at these, the stages of buying, it is because we are communicating to our target audience. Our aim, our goal is to make sales. So we need to communicate to them so that they can buy our product. So what will make these people buy our product? The cognitive stage, it deals with the knowledge we hold. For instance, I'm selling product X. What will determine if my customers, my target audience will buy, it is the information they have towards the product. Could be they've read about it somewhere, and they've said someone has tried, so there's testimony that this product really works, it's really good. Look at Jik. There's that advertisement on Jik, and this lady will narrate the story. The grandmother used to use Jik, the mother used Jik, and now she's also using Jik, and there's a small child. So there's a lot of information based on the goodness. Could be the value addition when you use Jik. Washing is never the same again. The white will be clean. I mean, the white will remain white. So, and then once the customer gets that, the power of knowing, you identify and believe the ideas. There's always that. When you have too much knowledge about something, you tend to believe about that, whatever product it is. And then the customers need to have exposure on their product, because if I don't have exposure, if I don't know the product, if I've never seen the product, if you've not taken time to let me know about this product, then how am I going to purchase the product? So let me see. When you're advertising, show the product. Then I can be able to make up my mind. Then the second stage is the affective. This deals with emotions. At times we watch advertisement. There's some advertisements we'll watch and we like. There's one Ilara. When it ran, every child wanted to watch. Every child wanted the parent to buy that milk. And I'm just thinking the way, the creativity part of it, whereby this boy comes, there's the father, and they're standing on the table, and they're dancing, and the mother comes in. And what happens when the mother comes in? They're shocked because the reaction, you know. But apparently the mother likes, and so even her, she joins. So every time as an advertiser, know that people will be guided by their emotions. And it's either I like or dislike something. And then at this stage of affective, these preferences, because remember, every product we have in the market, whether it's milk, we have Tuzo, we have Ilara, we have Brookside, KCC, there are so many various products that we've been exposed to. So advertising will come and help us to make a decision, which is the best product that I'm going to consume. And remember, because of this, now I prefer my brand, you know, just like the way people used to use Omo. And even up to date, you will go to the market and to a shop and find a woman asking, I want that Omo, yeah, I mean Ariel, yeah, Omo. But how is that possible? It is because of brand name, because they prefer that, they preferred that. And now because Ariel has come in, they will still continue calling it Omo instead of, and others will stay, they'll stick, by the way, to the brand. If I've always used this certain of product, could be I use Kasuku, I'll always use Kasuku even though there's Elianto, even though there's all those other brands. Okay, then the other one is the behavior stage, which happens after now the affective. The moment you like, as we will see in the IDA process, the moment you like, then you will go, either you purchase the product or you reject. If you like, you purchase. If you dislike, then you ignore and move on. So the product will be, what will determine if I will buy that and if I'll be loyal to the product is the quality of the product. So we look at some theories and models of advertising and communication. And the first question I'll ask is, what is a theory? And I tell students, and I will tell you also today, that a theory is simply a set of explanations, certain ideas. We go to the villages and we hear people say, so-and-so has so many theories. And we don't even sit down and ask ourselves, what is a theory? A theory is simply an idea. An idea that will help you explain a certain occurrence, a construction. A theory is a construction. Why? It is man-made. People sit down, they come up with ideas, they research on those ideas, and they justify them. And then we call them theories. And then they're abstractions. Why an abstraction? A theory is an abstraction because it will make you see things in only one perspective. If I said media is powerful as my theory, the magic bullet theory, even as you go to the field as my student, you will go thinking at the back of your mind, Mwalimu said media is very powerful. So there's no other way you're going to see any information about media. So then we look at what is a model, and then we will be looking at the theories and models later, but I need to define those words for you. A model is simply a mental representation of a real object. I'll give you a very good example. If today you wanted to buy a certain car, and these cars have been advertised for quite some time, what you will see before you send for the car, you buy the car, is a model, a structure that is representing the real thing, the real car. If you wanted to buy, to build a house, the first thing you see is not a real house, but a model, a structure that is representing the house. So in this section, we will look at several theories and models. One is the IDA model. We'll look at dogma. We'll also look at hierarchy of needs as we proceed, diffusion of innovation, etc. So the IDA process model of communication, it stands for the following: attention, the acronym, that is, IDA is an acronym: attention, interest, desire, and action. And I'll take you through all of them. Attention, the first thing as an advertiser, what we intend to do is to let people listen and watch whatever product you have. So you grab attention of your prospects or your customers, potential buyers, and then make sure that you convince them that that is what they need to be watching at this time. They're not just wasting their time. Because as you realize, advertisement, we can say they can be so annoying at times, but we can't say we can do without advertisements. They've become part of our everyday life. Because every time when you're watching something, if you go to the internet, for instance, there are always those popping in advertisements. If you're watching, could be a news bulletin. Before a news bulletin ends, there are so many advertisements that take place. If you're listening to radio, at times it's quite agitating because you're listening and you really want to follow up on this story, but they keep disturbing, cutting and bringing in advertisements. And so what happens as an advertiser, they know the only way they can win you is to make sure that you pay attention to what they do. And that is why they craft it so creatively to make sure that you listen. And then how you can make sure that your target audience pay attention, you can use models, because within the society there are those people who are emulated. If it's for the youths, could be the artists, the King Kaka, you know, you can use size 8. I've seen her in so many advertisements. Bahati, Eric Omondi, all those people. Then the typography, how you structure your letters, your settings, your graphics, everything about that, the layout, the color, the size, and now what I've said, the use of celebrity, and then use of catchy words. Have you ever? Have you had? You know, something that draws someone's attention. Then interest, this is at the peak of attentiveness. So the moment I have attention, I pay attention to something, then I will develop interest. I really want to know, for instance, if there's a certain jingle that has starting, it's very attractive. So the next thing, I'll be inquisitive. I really want to know what is that being advertised through using that jingle. So, and then I'll be able to go into details, and I want to know more about it. What is the value addition? Why should I even purchase that product? And then the desire. Once I pay, and I have interest, I have paid attention, I'm interested. So the next thing is the desire. I feel, by the way, I really need to have this product. And I yearn towards having, if it's something to do with acne, and I know my face is full of acne, I have the desire because I want my face to be smooth. So the next thing will be that yearning. I can't do without that. And you know, advertisers have a way of making me and you as a consumer yearn for something, because they'll use what we call bandwagon. Everyone is using this. You're the only person who is not using this. And because human beings, we fear being isolated, so we'll tend to go and purchase that product. And then if I know it's going to satisfy my needs, it's going to make my face smooth, it's going to make me slim. For those people with no edges, it's going to make my hair grow, then it means that I will yearn to have that product, to have self happy, to make myself happy. And then the other thing now in the IDA process is the action. Once I have attention now, the attention, I'm interested, then there's that desire. The next thing is I move now. I'll wake up, get my money, go to the shop, because remember, as you will see in the marketing mix theory, there is now the product, it is this much, there's the placement where I can find it, and then there's the promotion level. So I'll take action and go to the supermarket, I go to that shop, I purchase that product. The next model is, the IDA model suggests that advertisement must be, for it to be effective, it has to be one that commands attention. I hear that sound and I really am inquisitive, I want to know more about it. it leads interest to the product. You know, I'm led to knowing more information, like we've said, the knowledge about the product. I want to know more about that. Is it really true? Okay, that it's going to make my hairline grow. Then if it's going to do that, then why don't I purchase that? And then the desire now, I want to own the product. I also want to be among the people who have used the product, and I can also testify because I've seen other people testify about the product, and then it leads to action. I move to the shop and purchase. The next model is the DAGMA, which is an acronym. It simply stands for Defining Advertising Goals for Measured Advertising Results. I repeat that, Defining Advertising Goals for Measured Advertising Results. So it focuses on the levels of understanding that a customer must hold for you to purchase that product. There's certain information that you need to understand about that information. For instance, at times we say, the first question most people will ask, does it bleach? Okay, is it going to change my color? Am I going to become light? Because most people will want to change, yes, but there are people who are, I just want to be smooth, and then everything else left the status quo, you know. So you need to know this information. So as an advertiser, make sure that you define these goals. You know what you want. Do you want to make sales? Yes. Do you want to create awareness? Yes. Do you want to educate people on how to use something? Do you want to warn them because could be their counterfeit products in the market? So you must be able to define your goals and define them well. So the main conclusion on DAGMA theory or model they were expressed in a certain quotation, which I will read for you. All commercial communication that weigh on the ultimate objective of a sale must carry prospects through 4 levels of understanding. So there is no form of communication that can be done, and especially for commercial now, advertising, for business, because we want to make money, if we don't understand the following, which we call ACCA, you know, ACCA. 1, the prospect must first be aware of the existence of the product. I'm the prospect, I'm the customer. I must be aware that your brand exists, because if I don't know, then how else am I going to purchase the product? Then I must have a comprehension of what the product is all about. What is it going to do? What is the value addition? Why should I stop using a Remis and use Vaseline? I want to know the value addition. Is it that my skin is not going to wither like the way we see the advertisement? Once I apply, I stop applying a Remis and I apply Vaseline. So that is the value addition. I must be able to know, to understand the value addition. And then I must reach that mental state, the conviction, you know, that the conflicts within your mind, whereby you say, by the way, should I not, should I? But the should be the one for an advertiser. You should be able to convince your target audience they should get. That conviction is very good, because even as we will see as we proceed, some of the things that really make headlines in terms of media is what has conflicts. Because when you have 2 opposing sides, the story becomes more interesting. And then later, finally, we must take action. We must take a step. We move from our place, we go and purchase the product. So ACCA, which is what I've explained, I can call it ACCA, awareness. A stands for awareness as a result of advertisement. Then C, comprehension, the recognition or an understanding of the product. And then conviction, attitude towards the product, which we've said for an advertiser. All what we want, we don't want negative attitude towards our product. We want positive attitude. Then finally, the action is to move and purchase the product we want. Note that for effective process, communication has to be specific and measurable. That is now where we see the measurable goals. The goal is the purpose. It must be, we say that the goals should be smart, you know. The objectives, what do I want? It should be specific, exactly what do I want, not general, you know. Measurable in terms of I want to shift from, I was selling 10 pieces, but I want to sell 50, and then accurate. Can I be able to sell more 10 of my product? You know, if it is could be say a certain oil, a certain cooking oil. If I was selling in a month, I used to sell 1,000 pieces. Then is it possible that I can be able to sell 20,000? It must be accurate. If I say it's 20, then it must be 20. Then realistic, because we can't say if we started with selling one, all of a sudden after advertisement we say we want to sell 100%. That is not realistic, because as you will see in the product cycle, it is gradual, and from where we start all the way, we will go up the cycle, and then after that it will depreciate, you know, it goes down. So we must be able to be realistic and then timely bound. Remember, nothing stays in the market forever, because the moment you advertise your product, there are other people, because advertising will fight off what we say competition within the society, within the advertisers. But if I realize your product is doing better than mine, then I'll go back to the drawing board and come up with another advertisement that is going to make sure that you don't sell as much. So dogma has huge influence on how people set their objectives in the advertising. So you, as an advertiser, dogma is one thing that you have to put into consideration if you really want to remain for long in the market, because there's a lot of competition within the market. We have the same bar soap, we have White Star, we have Panga, we have different, and we all want to remain relevant in the market. So if you put into consideration on dogma, how to work with dogma, then it means that you're safe and you last long. Then we have the that now theory, which is the hierarchy of effects theory by Roberts and Gray and Gary, and 1961. And they suggest that there are 6 different steps of viewing a product advertisement, an advert, you see, between the time we see that advert running on radio, we see on television and internet, and the time I go to purchase, it will take 6 different steps. And these are the key steps that every advertiser should put into consideration again. There's so much you have to put into consideration, because you remember, we live in a world where there's a lot of competition. So as such, it is the responsibility of any advertiser to encourage the customers to go through the 6 steps. How will you do that? We will see. Because if you don't go through those steps, then it means that your product will not even be known. And the first step is awareness. We need to know about this product. As you can see, we are revolving around key things: awareness, conviction, attention, all that, you know, knowledge. So we have to let our key target audience know that our product X exists in the market. So this is possible through advertising. Now, remember, we can say that we are going to do door-to-door salesmen, you know, like the way they come to your places, they are selling something, and they tell you buy 3, and when you say you don't have money, they tell you I'll add you something else, you know, on top of that. So we need to know, before I purchase your product, if it is being advertised, then it makes me and my work as a salesperson easier to sell the product, because I know, I've watched. So advertising is very crucial in terms of creating awareness. However, as you will realize as we proceed, it is challenging, since there is no guarantee that the customer will be aware of the product because they watched. Because my question will be, this is the 21st century. How many people consume mainstream media, for instance? So if you placed your advertisements on electronic media, whether radio, TV, and could be in the internet, how many people came through that advertisement? We are not so sure how many people have seen. So at times it can be disappointing, because we can think our target audience is the youth. So let's put these ads on in the internet, and there's those pop-in advertisement, and what do? We keep skipping. So how many people watch that to the end? We don't. So that is a challenge in terms of creating awareness. And then the next step is the knowledge, having more insight about my product. What is its ingredients? What is the value addition? Why should I stop using what I've always used and just I buy your product? You have to let me know, get information. And you say that information is power, whether it's in advertising, whether it's within the society. It is very important for you to be informed. Then, after I have the knowledge, then I develop a liking. This liking, if I have positive attitude, if I like your product, then it means that I'm going to buy your product. But if I dislike it, then I'll just trash it. So it is very important for you to make sure as an advertiser, this type of liking comes by, because that is the only way your audience will purchase the product. And then preference. Then I could see your advertisement, I could like it, but I prefer another one to that one because it is better. So you need to make sure that your product remains the very best, the product every person wants to purchase. And then there's now the conviction, which is, we say that it's mental, okay? It is in your brain that brings conflicts. I must buy that product. I must, because this is going to change my life. And then finally, now I go to the shop and purchase, which is now the action, as we've seen in either process. So in this, remember we highlighted the steps into buying. This now hierarchy of needs is now what is going to take us through the cognitive, the affective, and cognitive, or the behavior. And I'll just highlight them briefly. And cognitive is about thinking. It's about the mind. What is in my mind? If I see something and I'm convinced that it is good, then I have this knowledge in my mind about that product. Then I have to buy that product. So the consumer becomes product aware and gathers knowledge, because there's nothing we'll purchase from the supermarket simply because it's been advertised. We need to know more about the product. And then the affective is about the feeling, so that the customer may like. You remember we've looked at liking. So I like this product, and then I have a positive attitude. I like it. I prefer this. It is better than any other product I've used. And then the cognitive, which is the behavior, so that the customer buys the product, the brand, the conviction to purchase. So I take action and I get the product. So it is the role of every advertiser to make sure that you promote these three behaviors. And I highlight them once more: cognitive, affective, and the cognitive behavior, you know. Because once you're able to do that, then it means that you will be able to sell your product and sell it for long. There's sustainability within the market. Then the next theory we will look at is the diffusion of innovation. Someone will ask me, why do we have to look at this? Because remember, at one point as we proceed, we'll be looking at the innovation in consumers' behavior. And I just explained briefly the terms. Diffusion, the process that is concerned with the spread of information, new information from the innovator, the person who is coming up with the idea, and the target audience. Because everything that we get to know, it's always faced with the resistance. We don't want to risk. We want other people to try it. So that is diffusion, the process through which that's between the time you show your product to the time your product now is accepted within the market. That is diffusion. Adoption is the process concerned with the stages consumers go through in deciding, as we will see. It is not every product we see and we purchase it instantly. It will take time. So we really need to understand this process as advertisers so that we can be able to tell. We don't give up, you know. Like at times we'll go and try once, and after 1, 2, 3 months it's not picking, and then we give up. No, we must understand the customers, about the consumer's behavior. And the product characteristics influence diffusion. So there are some things, the characteristics that will depend how well an idea, a new product is accepted within the society, for instance, within the target audience. And one is the relative advantage. It is very important for you to realize this. Relative advantage. Remember, even as you introduce your product, people had other products. So when you bring in something new, as a consumer, I must be able to tell, for real, if I use this product, it is going to add more value into my life. That is the relative advantage. So to what degree the potential customers will perceive the new product. Is it more superior than the one I've been using, or inferior? You know, if it's not going to add value, then I will not purchase. Then compatibility, it's the degree to which the potential customers will feel the new product is consistent with their present needs. Now, I've been using, remember we are bound within the social structures. We have values, we have our culture, we have everything. So if this product is going to be in line with my faith, with my belief, then it is compatible. I can be able to use it as I practice my faith. But if it's not going to make me stop doing my things, the culture, you know, practicing my culture, there's always that resistance. And then the complexity, remember, every time everything new comes into the market, let's take for instance, there's some time that we had to go online after COVID-19, after March. And my dear students, you can attest to that. Most of you didn't come in. Why? Because most people said, this is very hard, you know. Others said, it's very complicated. I don't understand. And you try taking a student through and telling them, it's just like the way you use internet. It's not hard. It's very easy. But human beings, we have that dissonance, you know, when something is bringing conflict within the mind. It is in disagreement because we want the status quo, things to be left the way they are. So anytime there's something new in terms of technology, in terms of products, we resist. And then the other one is the trial ability. It is the degree to which a new product is capable to be tried. I see this mostly in supermarkets where we have the sales promotion, the ladies there, and they tell you, we can give you this, we are giving this one for free, go try, and then once you like it, then you can purchase the product. So are we given that opportunity? Because human beings will always want, I don't want to risk, by the way. I want my money to be intact, and when I purchase this product, I'm going to get value for my money. So if there's that trial ability, I can be given, I go try. If it's a washing detergent, I try it out. If it works for me, then I can purchase, then it works good for me. So what are the factors that, again, will affect the diffusion of innovations? Now, this idea. We have these ideas. We have these products. And remember, the innovations are the ideas we have. And the diffusion, we've said, is the time between the time we introduce these ideas to the time they're accepted. So one, the innovation itself. What is the idea? What is the product? What are you advertising? Is it good? Is it in line with my values? Is it in line with the norms? And is it in line with my culture? If it is, then it is okay. I'll accept it. Then the channel of communication. The speed at which an innovation spreads through market depends on the grade of the communication. We know that. We've seen communication. We've seen why we say advertising is a mass communication process. It is because when we talk of mass, it reaches to heterogeneous, anonymous, and dispersed people, and it's usually very fast. So the platform we are going to use will determine how fast our idea will be accepted, or how it will be known by other people. And then today we have, unlike in the olden times where much of what we used to do was oral communication, where it was by the word of mouth. I come to you, I tell you have these products, like the way marketing at times happens, door to door. But now, when we have now the technology in the 21st century, things have become much easier, even for advertisers. Then the other factor is the social systems, which is whether it's social, physical, or cultural environment, which we belong to a certain culture, and this will determine how well we embrace certain ideas within the society, certain advertisements within the society. For instance, we can look at HIV and AIDS advertisements with all the misconceptions, with the way people used to fear. But now when the retired President Kibaki became part of that advertisement, most people wanted to go, because now the society was like, if the president has accepted to go for the test, if the president is now advertising, then this is very crucial. We really need to move and do the necessary, you know. And then we have at least one thing in common. Remember, no man is an island. Because when we are born of empty slates, we have nothing. But through socialization then, that is how we get to know much of what we know. And we have a certain thing, one norm, something that brings us together. Like when we say Kenyans hash one tag, you know, that tag one something, you know, we belong. So that is one thing we have in common. And the moment one Kenyan does these 2, 3, 4 tribes and the whole Kenya, we forget we have tribes and we say we belong. So all of us are going to do that. And then the next thing is time. The amount of time of purchase, that is, it relates to diffusion in terms of, in 3 ways. One, the amount of time we have to purchase, because remember, by the time we advertise a product and the time we buy, there are some products we'll just highlight and then they disappear. I don't know whether you've seen some advertisements that don't last long and then we keep looking for that product. So that will determine if people are going to accept the idea. Then 2, the adopter categories, which is in terms of the innovator, as we will be looking at later. Innovator, the person who comes up with the idea, they're usually very few. We'll see that in a graph somewhere. And then there are those people who will, after the idea, they'll accept. They're called the early adopters. And then the early majority who will come in now, they are more than the second people. And then the late, they will wait for a innovation to be tried, tested, retested, and then they'll come in. And then finally we have the laggards, who are the people who will be the last people to try out something. We've seen this even within the society. There are some projects, like if I can go to some pyramids, whereby they tell you bring in someone and you'll earn this much. If you bring others, you know, like there's a lineage, this money will be coming to you. They're usually those people who come up with these ideas. Then there are people who will adopt immediately, but they're usually not many. And then there are others who will wait till they see. If it works for Jane, then I will try. You first try, but then once it works for you, I'll try. So you will see the way the graph goes up. And then later the laggards, these are the last people who will say, I will not risk my money. I will not purchase until I see, I'm so sure I'm not wasting my money, you know. So those are called the laggards. So we have these. As an advertiser, you need to realize this. And you need to understand every person in this graph, whether it is you as an innovator all the way to the laggards. So what will determine the adoption process? There are a series of consumer stages that a consumer will go through. And this, as you will see, is what we've kept on repeating from the time we started IDCA. And one, the 5 stages knowledge or the awareness. I need to have knowledge. I need to be aware that that product exists. I know much about the product. And then I develop interest or now persuasion for this theory. And then I make the decision, I evaluate. Because I have to weigh, you know, like when we say, wait first, I make my decision. Let me weigh options 1 and 2, and then later I'll purchase that product. And then the trial period, like what you said, one of the key characteristics is the ability to try. If I'm given to experiment the product, then it is okay. If it works for me, then I can purchase. If it doesn't work for me, then I forget about it. And then there's always confirmation or adoption or rejection. Remember, it's not every product as an advertiser that you take to the market and it's accepted. There's some products we've seen and they've gone to the market, they've been advertised, but later they just didn't make it. So at times we have, as an advertiser, you need to realize this. It's not, there's a likelihood that your product could be accepted, and that is what every advertiser wants, or it could be rejected. And then now the final part that you're going to look at, the resistance to the adoption. And there are 5 factors that may lead to consumers' resistance. Because as I've said, it's not always like every product that we take to the market is going to be accepted. There are times this product will not be accepted. So one is the value barriers. If it is not in line with my values, what is good, you know, the morals, for instance, within the society, because as we will see in terms of ethics, who determines what is right and what is wrong within the society? Self, me, Okay, I'll sit down and set my goals. This is right, this is wrong. So if that product, if that service is not in line with my values, then there's a barrier. It's noise to me, so I'm not going to accept that. Then usage barriers. It is not every person who knows how to use every product that is being advertised. And that is why advertisers will take time to demonstrate, and especially if they feel it's complicated, how to use a certain service, how to use a certain product, you know, cleanse your face, apply these, apply, you know, they give you directives so that you can use to reduce the barrier. Then risk, I don't want to take risks. I don't want to use my money, and this money, I'm not gonna get the value to my money. So most people, that is where most of us are. We are not risk takers. We want to use something that we are certain of, that is going to add into my life. And then traditions, which is culture. Now again, culture comes in. There are products that a certain culture won't use, even though they've been advertised. And then the image barrier, which is self versus others. Every time we wake up in the morning, the first thing we do, we talk to self. That is why we'll dress, go to the mirror, look at ourselves, and there's always that mental representation, the way I see myself, the way I present myself. So if I'm in agreement, in consonance with what I see, then that gives me confidence. But when I step out, these others, now the other people and the society at large. And if I stepped out of my house and someone told me, by the way, you look horrible, so that will demean my self-esteem. So what is going to happen? If it's the dress I had worn, if it's the perfume, could be if I do makeup and it's the lipstick, then it means that I'm not going to use that lipstick again. So in that, I also highlight some of the few models and theories that are very important for us to understand as advertisers. And one is the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, which looks at what makes you wake up every day based on our needs, you know, based on where we belong. If we are somewhere at the bottom there where our key concern is food, shelter, clothes, and medication, then I'll just pay attention to the advertisements that are going to add value to me. Then all the way to the self-actualization, they're on top, whereby this person is rich, they could purchase very expensive perfumes, could be. So as an advertiser, I need to understand the hierarchy of needs, what makes every customer there, every target audience consume the product I'm advertising. That way, and I'm able to segment them, and I'm able to know how to reach them and reach them effectively. And then these uses and gratification theories. And this, what I would want you to look at, is in terms of selectives. Because in this theory, it looks at human beings, the consumer outside there, as an active being, not passive. We are rational people. You will not force me to buy a product if I don't want to. So you look at the selectives, the selective attention. What I pay attention to is what I want to buy. If I wanted to buy a phone, all the advertisements on phones will be attracting me. But if you brought another advertisement, could be for perfume. I don't want perfume, so I will not pay attention to that. Then exposure, selective exposure, I expose myself to the things that I want. Media will not determine what I expose myself to. And then retention. Everything we watch in that advertisement, most of the people will not carry home everything, but they just retain just what they need and what adds value. And then finally, the perception. It's not every advertisement we consume we tend to believe 100% it is correct. At times we'll just listen, we'll just watch, but we know it's lying. If it's in terms of acne, that they've used a certain model who is smooth, you know, so we know, and we know now it's technology, it's able to do everything. So we know we won't believe everything that they said. So as an advertiser now, you need to understand the nature of human, the audience, your target audience. And then media theories, the magic bullet theory, and agenda setting theory, so that we can know why media will utilize, why advertisers will utilize media platform, because of the power of media. Because media, according to the magic bullet theory, is very powerful, and information from media comes direct to the people and acts on them. So if, as an advertiser, I wanted my product to be bought, then I utilize media. And then in agenda setting theory, it looks at the way media is able to craft, package information, and give prominence. It makes us discuss. We discussed Ilara for the longest time. Every child, when you go to the supermarket, would want to purchase that product. And up to that point, my dear students, we come to the end of our class. Thank you so much. See you next time.